everyone, and welcome. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basallaje coming to you from Los Angeles. It's Sunday, the 6th day of June, 2021. Tonight, we have updates from our correspondents across North America. Eliza Gonzalez-Manglikmot in Washington, D.C.
Researchers say a new oral antiviral drug, Tempol, is a potential treatment for COVID-19.
Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Less than half of Canadian workers have jobs which allow them to work from home.
Mark Marenko in Bakersfield, California.
Mayor Garcetti says Los Angeles Airport is in a once-in-a-generation transformation.
Jane Kathleen Gregorio in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Heavy rains and floods threaten the eastern, southern regions of Texas, and the governor announces a virtual music-friendly community workshop in the city of Bador.
Rose Papa Angeles in Washington, D.C. reports about the district investing more than $180 million in high-quality childcare. Philip Toledo in Atlanta, Georgia reports about Soylent expanding Georgia's headquarters and creating more jobs. For EBC Travel, Bobby Soriano takes us to a quick getaway trail adventure within New York City. Plus, tonight's roundtable is about the National Eyewear Day. Let's find out what shape of eye frames our team wears and why. Our coverage begins now. Members of a motley coalition to oust veteran leader Benjamin Netanyahu meet in Jerusalem as a confidence vote is expected this week or next. On paper, the coalition announced by opposition leader Yair Lapid should command a slender majority. The leader of the far-right Yamina party, Naftali Bennett, calls on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to let go and allow the country to move forward without him, as a vote of confidence on a motley coalition that could oust Netanyahu draws closer. He accuses Netanyahu's administration of sponsoring and managing an operation to break the coalition.
אני קורא מכאן למר נתניהו, תרפה, תשחרר את המדינה להמשיך הלאה. בשבועות האחרונים מופעלת מכונה אלימה על חברי הכנסת מימינה ומתקווה חדשה. זה מבצע ממומן, מנוהל, שמטרתו לשבור אותם, כדי שהם יערקו ויצביעו נגד הממשלה החדשה.
Meanwhile, outgoing Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denies accusations of incitement to violence against a possible coalition government that would oust him from power, citing freedom of speech.
אנחנו מגנים כל הסתה ואלימות מכל צד שהוא. חופש הביטוי איננו הסתה. אי אפשר להתייחס לביקורת בימין כאל הסתה ולביקורת מהשמאל כאל פעולה לגיטימית של חופש ביטוי. זה ניסיון למסגר את הימין כמשהו אלים ומשהו מסוכן לדמוקרטיה.
Mired in a court battle on corruption charges that could see him face prison time, the veteran political mastermind has mobilized his supporters to peel off defectors ahead of a confirmation vote. On Saturday, the head of Israel's Shin Bet internal security agency, Nadav Argaman, issued a rare public statement warning of a severe escalation in violence and inciting discourse on social media. Back in Washington, President Joe Biden calls a surge in new U.S. jobs great news and says the country was leading the world in recovering from the COVID pandemic.
In short, this is progress, historic progress. Progress that's pulling our economy out of the worst crisis it's been in 100 years. And it's testament to the new strategy that is growing this economy. No other major economy in the world is growing as fast as ours. No other major economy is gaining jobs as quickly as ours. And none of this success is an accident. It isn't luck. It's due in no small part, first of all, the cooperation of the American people in responding to my effort to get COVID under control, wearing masks initially and getting vaccinated. And it's no small part to the bold action we took by passing the American Rescue Plan. We have a chance to seize on the economic momentum of the first months of my administration, not just to build back, but to build back better. This much is already clear. We're on the right track. Our plan is working, and we're not going to let up now. We're going to continue to move on. I'm extremely optimistic. I hope you are as well.
In California, with chronic drought drying up rivers earlier than usual this year, California is scaling up a drastic operation to help its famous Chinook salmon reach the Pacific, transporting the fry by road in dozens of large tanker trucks. Anna Kastner, manager of Feather River Hatchery, explains the process of how to save the fish and give them the best chance possible to survive lower than normal water temperatures.
And then they migrate and they actually feel the current of this ladder, and then the fish will migrate up because the instinct of the fish is to go upstream when they're ready to spawn. This attracts the fish so we can take the eggs. So in order for the fish to make it to where we need to take the eggs, this needs to happen. The water needs to be flowing and the fish need to go up. So as you can see right now, they're putting the tags in, and then they're injecting them with thiamine at the same time, and then they get released. We want to make sure that we have the best available chance for this fish because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have any rain, so the water temperatures are going to be a little bit higher. The water is going to be, the river's going to be a little bit lower than normal, so we're trying to give them the best chance possible. This is our incubator stack. This is where the eggs get put in after we once we spawn them, the eggs come to this room and they stay here until they hatch. They stay here about 60 days, 30 to 60 days. And each of these trays hold about 100,000 eggs. So each incubator stack can hold anywhere from 100,000 to 150,000 eggs in each stack. Our hatchery building can hold up to about 20 million eggs.
Here's today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University and Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday, June 6, 2021, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 173,095,000. Top three on the list of countries with recorded cases are the U.S. at over 33.3 million, India at over 28.8 million, and Brazil at over 16.9 million. This virus has now already claimed more than 3,723,000 lives worldwide. Top three countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the US with more than 597,000, Brazil with more than 472,000, India with more than 346,000. Total vaccine doses administered worldwide is now at 2,106,693,600. And now for COVID news. When health workers knock on doors in Indian villages, the occupants sometimes run out the back, terrified that these health workers want to vaccinate them against COVID-19. With India's devastating recent virus surge easing in cities, the deadly pandemic is ravaging the vast poverty-stricken rural hinterland. But here, ignorance and fear rule. According to reports, a lot of people in these villages don't want to take the vaccine for fear that they will die if they take it. In one incident, the villager was so angry that he beat up a health worker who was trying to convince him to take the vaccine. According to an analysis by the Hindu Daily, just 15% of people in rural areas, compared with 30% in towns and cities, have received at least one vaccine dose so far, even though 2/3 of cases are being reported in the countryside. Rumors are shared online or spread through messaging apps like WhatsApp. Fears that 5G causes COVID-19 led to mobile towers being attacked in Haryana. This fear pervades despite the sight of bodies dumped in rivers and hundreds of shallow graves, suggesting that COVID-19 is raging in India's hinterland, where 70% of the 1.3 billion population lives. In Nurankara village in Haryana, residents are reluctant to get inoculated, even though they said many households reported having fever and dozens of people dying. Immunization officer Dr. Navneet Singh says vaccination is the most effective way, especially for a country like India, to fight the pandemic.
Vaccination is the most efficient and effective public health intervention we can do in a populous country like India, poor and populous country like India. So if we want to control this pandemic, vaccination is the key. And we have seen examples ourselves. The people who are vaccinated, who have taken both the doses, even if they become positive, they are not getting any mortality. The mortality is very less as compared to the non-vaccinated cohorts.
A bipartisan delegation of 3 United States senators landed in Taiwan and announced that Washington would donate 750,000 coronavirus vaccine doses to its ally. The high-profile delegation and gift comes as Taiwan accuses China of hampering its efforts to secure enough doses as part of Beijing's ongoing campaign to keep the island isolated. Senators Tammy Duckworth, Christopher Coons, and Dan Sullivan, 2 Democrats and a Republican, landed on Sunday morning at Taipei's Songshan Airport in a U.S. military plane. President Joe Biden announced last week that the United States would give around 25 million vaccine doses to countries that needed them, mostly through the global COVAX vaccine sharing program. It is highly unusual for the United States to use a military plane to fly officials to Taiwan. Washington remains Taiwan's biggest ally, but it does not maintain full diplomatic relations with Taipei because it officially recognizes Beijing. Foreign Minister Joseph Wu says, Taiwan is facing unique challenges in combating the virus. While we are doing our best to import vaccines, we must overcome obstacles to ensure that these life-saving medicines are delivered free from trouble from Beijing. Until recently, Taiwan navigated the pandemic in an exemplary fashion, recording just a handful of deaths. But cases have soared to more than 10,000 in the last month after an outbreak that began with airline pilots. Taiwan has struggled to secure enough doses for its 23 million people. Taipei has blamed Beijing for making it difficult, a charge China has flat out rejected. Earlier this week, China hit out at Japan for making a donation of more than 1 million AstraZeneca vaccine doses to Taiwan. Up next, updates from Washington and Alberta. Eagle News America continues.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders to help you discover valuable insights. Sharpen your instincts for smart decision-making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basallaje in Los Angeles. There is new development in the fight against COVID-19. This time, instead of a vaccine, it's a treatment against the virus. BBC's Eliza Gonzalez-Malikmut joins us this evening with the details.
Thank you, Alan. A good Sunday evening to you and a wonderful Monday morning to our friends on the other side of the globe. That is correct. Indeed, a new development. A recent study suggests the experimental drug Tempol may be a promising oral antiviral treatment against the coronavirus. The study was conducted by researchers at the National Institute of Health and focused on cell cultures. According to the NIH, Tempol can limit SARS-CoV-2 infection by impairing the activity of a viral enzyme called RNA replicase. The work was led by researchers at NIH's Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development and has been published in Science. NICHD Director Diana Bianchi says there is an urgent need for additional effective, accessible treatments for COVID-19. She emphasizes an oral drug that prevents SARS-CoV-2 from replicating would be an important tool for reducing the severity of the disease. The development comes as good news, especially here in the United States, where the latest count of confirmed COVID-19 cases is at 33,361,523. And COVID-related deaths are approaching the 600,000 mark. As more than 138 million in the United States have been vaccinated, the potential of an effective treatment against the virus that causes COVID-19 is great news as America tries to turn the corner and head to a semblance of pre-pandemic times. In Washington, D.C., Eliza Gonzalez, Manglik Mott, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Well, Eliza, how does this drug actually work?
Well, Alan, as I was reading the material about it, there were a lot of scientific terms having to deal with iron-sulfur clusters and RNA replicase. In layman's terms, however, this drug would simply prevent the virus from replicating. So in short, the virus wouldn't be able to flourish in the person it had infected, and so lessening how sick the person gets and decreasing the likeliness of death. Alan?
And so how did the NIH approach the study?
Alan, the study team was led by Tracy Rowalt. She's the head of the NICHD section on human iron metabolism. It discovered Tempol's effectiveness by evaluating a more basic question on how the virus uses its RNA replicase. Like what we said earlier, it's an enzyme that allows SARS-CoV-2 to replicate and make copies of itself once it's inside a cell. Alan?
You did mention SARS-CoV-2 several times. Is this the same as COVID-19?
Alan, from what I understand, the virus is now known as the Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2, or like you said, SARS-CoV-2. But the disease it causes is called Coronavirus Disease 2019, and that's COVID-19. Alan?
Well, Eliza, we certainly appreciate explaining things in layman's terms for us. We appreciate the report.
Thanks, Alan.
Meanwhile, in Canada, only less than half of Canada's workforce have the option to keep working from home once more pandemic restrictions are lifted and workplaces open up. In Alberta, Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness has the story.
Thanks, Alan. So what is the post-pandemic economy going to look like? Or I guess more specifically, what's the workplace going to look like? You know, if you're currently working remotely, will you be able to continue to do so? Do you even want to? As the economy reopens in Canada, more employers want to see people back at their desks in the office. An analysis by Statistics Canada, that's the country's official bean counters. Statistics Canada suggesting only 1 out of 4, or I should say 4 out of 10 workers, only 40% of workers would be able to continue to work from home, whether it be full-time or part-time. Simply put, the majority of jobs in our country require you to be on site. Those working at home, well, they're employed in things like finance, insurance, educational services. Others have careers in, professional, scientific, and technical services. These are the things that can potentially be done remotely. But people employed in, accommodation and food services, healthcare, agriculture, forestry, fishing and hunting, Transportation's another one. Dozens of other industries almost have no telework capacity. And demographics play a role as well. Financially vulnerable workers appear to have the lowest telework opportunities. Now, these would be people under the age of 25. Maybe they've only got a high school diploma, maybe not even a high school diploma, just some high school. They tend to gravitate to unskilled work, and that requires them to be at the job site. So for those of you who are still working from home, do you have any desire to return to the office? And if you do go back, do you want the flexibility to spend, part of your week working from home? I know I'd like that. From my home studio in Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Well, Thomas, I prefer that everyone remains working at home because when I go to the office, parking is a breeze. Now, let's talk about ethnicity. Does ethnicity play a role among those working remotely in Canada?
Well, this is an interesting item, Alan, that I found in last week's unemployment report from Statistics Canada. One of the things the agency noted is that Filipino-Canadian workers aged 15 to 69 were among the least likely to work from home. Now, that's because many worked in industries such as, manufacturing. You have to be at the plant, healthcare, daycare, social assistance, all jobs where it's just less feasible to work from home. On the other hand, I keep dropping my pen. On the other hand, larger proportions of Chinese Canadians and South Asian Canadian workers were able to work remotely, and they tended to be employed in scientific and technical services, finance, insurance, real estate, rental, leasing, that sort of thing. I'd like to note here in Canada, it seems like Filipinos are the backbone of our healthcare system, particularly in hospitals and nursing homes. Without them, we'd certainly have a severe labor shortage. Alan?
Understood. Kind of hard to do blood draws remotely. Now, how do you see telework playing out in the post-pandemic economy?
Well, I think in Canada, we're going to see more of it than we have in the past. And a lot of that is because workers are demanding it. They want to spend at least part of their work week working remotely. They've had a taste of it for the last year, and most don't want to give it up entirely. But there are drawbacks. Number one, you have less interaction with people. And let's face it, you get a group of people together trying to solve a problem, they're more apt to come up with a creative solution than you just trying to figure it out on your own. Also, you're less noticeable to your boss, and that can come back to bite you come promotion time. You know the saying, out of sight, out of mind. So there's that about it. As well, the work-life separation. I remember when I was a political reporter, my employer was several hundred kilometers away from the legislature that I was reporting on, and I had a home office. It wasn't unusual to end up following a breaking story at odd hours, because for me, it was a simple walk of a few feet from my home to my home office, and I could just start making calls from there. For some, though, that might be a disadvantage. It might eat into that work-life balance, which could be skewed in favor of the employer. A lot of advantages to telework, but also some disadvantages. One other thing, bosses up here, not so quick to embrace it, particularly older managers. They still want that control. They want to have that constant supervision. But personally, I loved working from home when I did it. Alan?
Thomas, we're going to shift gears and talk about another issue. Your province is set to eliminate all restrictions, right, as early as the end of this month. How is that decision sitting with the medical community?
Well, doctors in my city here up in Edmonton have sent a letter to the Premier of the province saying, these major summer events that are going to be allowed, they should be canceled. They say it's just too soon to be crowding people into venues, particularly when other provinces in the country are waiting until September before totally lifting restrictions. The docs are saying some restrictions should remain in place until 70% of the population is fully vaccinated, both shots. And that level of immunization, we likely won't reach that for a few more months. What's concerning the doctors is the increase in variants causing cases. That's really a concern, they say, and they just say now is not the time to hold big events. Our province has had a history since the pandemic began of being kind of the last in with restrictions and the first out. And what the doctors are doing is urging politicians to follow the science rather than just pandering to the wishes of people who want to see the restrictions gone. Alan?
Thomas, we appreciate the report. And one last comment from me regarding staying at home or going back to the workforce. And contrary to what I said earlier about having an open parking lot, I do rather enjoy sipping coffee that somebody else made in the communal kitchen. Thomas, thanks for your report.
Take care, Alan. We'll talk to you later at the roundtable.
Now, still to come, stories from California, Texas. Then we go back to Washington, D.C. Eagle News America will return in a moment. Stay with us.
Start up your weekday mornings with edutainment, news and information kasama ang inyong paboritong Net25 shows. Samahan ang inyong paboritong morning barkada sa Pambansang Almusal at 5 a.m. Tatalakayin mga pangunahing balita sa pagtutulungan ng Radyo Agila at Net25. Samahan si Weng de la Fuente sa Balitalakayan, 7 a.m. Saganang Mamamayan at 8 a.m. NHK World at 9 a.m. Eagle News International at 10 a.m. At mga balitang dapat niyong malaman mula sa Agila, Pilipinas at 11 a.m. This is your morning startup every weekday mornings only here on Net25.
This is Eagle News America. I'm Alan Basallaje in Los Angeles. One of the country's busiest airports has gone through a major makeover, and it's not done yet. We're talking about the Los Angeles Airport, or LAX. In Bakersfield, Eagle News correspondent Mark Marenko reports.
Thank you, Alan. LAX is in the midst of a once-in-a-generation transformation, says Los Angeles City Mayor Eric Garcetti. Garcetti, of course, is referring to the massive modernization and expansion overhaul of one of the busiest airports in the country. The latest phase of renovation touted by the mayor's office is one of recently completed extension of Terminal 1. The price tag for this 283,000 square foot project came in at over $407 million. This extension, which earned the nickname Terminal 1.5, introduces the terminal vertical core to the airport, which is a system of elevators and escalators that will connect passengers to their pedestrian bridge. Travelers can then take the bridge to an automated People Movers Central Terminal Area station. Further enhancements that are bundled with Terminal 1.5 are new security screening systems, baggage claims, a check-in lobby, and in the concourse, a 6-lane transportation security administration checkpoint. On the arrivals level, 2 luggage carousels have been added, and for departures, more ticket counters have been installed on that level. Passengers looking to reach the new west gates at Tom Bradley International Terminals from Terminal 1.5 can now potentially make it to their flights in 10 minutes or less by way of an airfield shuttle that will exclusively scurry travelers between terminals. The idea that people can seamlessly move from Terminal 1 to 2 is not the only plan that Councilmember Joe Buscaino is banking on. The council member also hopes that the airport's dynamic architecture and infused art will leave a good impression on visitors arriving through LAX. He looks forward to big events like the World Cup, the Super Bowl, the Olympics as opportunities to show off the new and improved LAX to travelers from all over the world. But even more than visually appealing, the opening of Terminal 1.5 looks to provide much needed practicality in an airport that's been around since the 1920s. Thanks to the commitment of nearly 3,000 employees on this expansion, which began in 2017, the reality that passengers can trek between Terminals 1 and 2 while doing away with the practice of multiple screenings is an outlook that travelers will most certainly be happy with. In Bakersfield, California, Mark Marenko, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
As you know, Mark, in a previous report, we have it that $14.5 billion has been earmarked for improvements to LAX. Now, what other projects does the airport look to get done with all of that money?
Alan, the $14.5 billion capital improvement program you're mentioning will address needed upgrades for all the 9 passenger terminals at LAX. New facilities like the APM or automated people mover is included on the high price bill, as well as other additions like a car rental facility. At one point, $86 billion chunk of money is allocated towards remodeling Terminals 2 and 3, while $1.75 billion will be used to add 15 gates to an area adjacent to the Tom Bradley International Terminal. And that isn't even the complete list of additions and renovations planned for LAX. Alan?
Mark, you mentioned that the council member stated that we're trying to impress visitors who come to LAX. A lot of those visitors are probably trying to make it to Disneyland, but looking at some of the video that you were showing, that even the dedicated or the shuttle, it already looks like you could be in Disneyland. Probably a lot of the visitors would think that they've already made it to the Magic Kingdom. But for yourself, what was the last place that you traveled to via an airplane, or where are you looking to travel to in the future?
So actually, recently I went ahead and visited Houston, Texas. Went to go ahead and see some family and some friends over there, and did a lot of sightseeing and did a lot of traveling myself. And so I got the chance to see LAX for the very first time in a long time. And even from someone who is from California, it is definitely something amazing. Even what's happening right now is just something to behold. And I can tell you, Alan, that it is definitely something amazing to see, and you really have to be there to experience it. Back to you, Alan.
It's nice to hear you went to Texas. We have lots of correspondents from Texas. They say everything is bigger in Texas, and we do have some big-time talent over in EBC, Texas. Mark, thank you for the report. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Thank you, Alan.
Several stories from the Lone Star State today. Bureau Chief Jane Kathleen Gregorio updates us on how heavy rains and floods are affecting 2 Texas regions. Plus, let's find out what the city of Vidor is up to.
Thank you, Alan, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Well, hurricane season officially started here in Texas, and heavy rains and floods are threatening the southern, eastern, and western regions. On Friday, Governor Greg Abbott activated several resources to assist communities in those areas. Severe storms are also expected to appear in West Texas, which could bring damaging winds and large hail. The Texas Division of Emergency Management, TDEM, has activated and deployed resources such as the Texas A&M Task Force boat squads, and the Texas Parks and Wildlife Search and Rescue boat teams, the Texas Military Department helicopters with hoist capability and high-profile vehicles, and many more. Residents are urged to utilize these flood preparedness and safety tips during severe weather by visiting ready.gov. Examples are signing up for radio warning alerts, building an emergency supply kit, purchasing or renewing their flood insurance policy, being extremely cautious of any water on the roads near creeks, streams, or storm drains, and never try to cross a road barricade. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Governor Abbott stated in his press release, this year's spring season has brought an unprecedented amount of rain and flash flooding to many of our communities. And I urge Texans throughout the eastern and southern regions of the state to remain alert to changing weather conditions and heed the guidance of their local officials. These resources will help the state of Texas continue to support our communities and keep Texans safe. In other news, Governor Abbott announced on Friday that the Texas Music Office, or TMO, and the city of Vidor will co-host a virtual music-friendly community workshop on Tuesday, June 8th. Co-hosting the workshop live via streaming is TMO Community Relations and Outreach Specialist Chip Adams, who will be answering questions and speaking about the music-friendly community program. The purpose of TMO's music-friendly community program is to provide Texas communities with a network for fostering music industry development, to attract and to send a clear message to industry professionals that certified music-friendly communities are serious about developing music industry growth. Vidor's workshop is the first step in the certification process. When complete, Vidor will join more than 20 other Texas cities that have already earned the coveted designation, music-friendly. And tonight, we leave you with a quote from Governor Abbott, who posted a special tribute on his Twitter page, remembering the World War II heroes of D-Day, which took place June 6, 1944. He posted, "On their backs, they carried the hopes of the entire free world. We owe our enduring gratitude to all who sacrificed so much and asked for so little in return, other than respect for the freedom they fought for. Their stories must not be forgotten. In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
Well, Jane, we, of course, are hoping that you and yours remained safe with the recent storms in Texas. Can you share with us any of your experiences?
Well, Alan, near the start of June, which, of course, is the start of hurricane season here in Texas, we were already experiencing severe thunderstorms that were, produced quite strong winds, and I was watching from my inside my kitchen when suddenly we heard the thunderstorms and the clouds darkened the sky, and our garden, our plants were like flying in the wind. So it was a pretty dramatic, and then just as dramatically as it entered, it disappeared. So it seems like the thunderstorms here are kind of on and off. Alan?
Jane, from family and friends that live in Texas, for non-Texans like myself, we always hear and we always imagine that the weather there's always in flux. How much of that is true?
Well, Alan, one of the famous quotes here in Texas is, "You can never believe the weather, man," and that actually happened to me this weekend. I was driving from Corpus Christi to San Antonio to celebrate some family birthdays. And just in that 2.5-hour drive, we saw 4 weather changes. It started off foggy, and then when we got to San Antonio, it started to clear up and it was nice and pleasant, and then suddenly it became extremely scorchingly hot. And then at the very end of our trip, suddenly it became windy and rainy and full of storms, and suddenly all the storms disappeared. So 4 or 5 weather changes, all within like a 2-hour span period. Alan?
All right, so a bit of instability in job security, we suppose, when it comes to Texas weather forecasters. But now, on the topic of Vidor, Texas, how far is that from where you're at?
Well, Alan, driving from Corpus Christi would take about 4.5 hours to get there. It's actually close to the Texas border along the east with Louisiana. So it's more towards that southeastern Texas region, which I'm sure has like a lot of Cajun influences when it comes to music. Alan?
Again, we hope you stay safe, and we will talk to you in a little bit. Thank you for the report, Jane.
Thank you, Alan.
Let's head back to Washington, D.C., where Eagle News correspondent Rose Papaangelis tells us about the district investing in high-quality childcare in an effort to give more families a fair shot. Rose.
Thank you. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser visits Stevens Early Learning Center, or ELC, to highlight investments in her fiscal year 2022 budget proposal. The proposal totals more than $184 million and aims to expand access to affordable quality child care and strengthen early childhood education programming across the district. Mayor Bowser says, quote, "Equity is the guiding principle in the Fair Shot budget, and this ensures that families, children, and educators have what they need to recover from a difficult year, and that includes more access to high-quality child care," unquote. The mayor's FY22 budget proposal would deliver 1, a pilot to review incentives for 2,000 child care workers to improve child care worker retention in our DC child care provider facilities. Number 2, a higher subsidy payments for 270 child care centers. Number 3, stabilization grants for all 425 licensed child care centers to help mitigate the losses experienced due to the pandemic. Number 4, back-to-work child care grants for 90 licensed child care centers to preserve the number of available seats for DC families. Number 5, a second round of access to quality grants for $10 million across FY22-23, increasing the number of quality and high-quality seats in DC, improving affordability, supply, and quality. Number 6, $18.5 million across FY23 and 24 to pilot quality pay bonus payments to providers who pay wages to infant toddler workers commensurate with credentials. Meanwhile, the district reports that as of Thursday, June 3, 2021, includes 27 new positive COVID-19 cases, bringing the district's overall positive case total to 49,068. The district reports no additional COVID-19 related deaths. 1,130 district residents have lost their lives due to COVID-19. Vaccine doses administered within the district is now at 695, 101, which brings the estimated number of residents partially or fully vaccinated at 52%. Visit coronavirus.dc.gov/data for interactive data dashboards or to download COVID-19 data. For some weather update, it is currently 93 degrees Fahrenheit or 34 degrees Celsius in the nation's capital. A great and sunny day here. In Washington, D.C., Rose Papa Angeles, Eagle News. We'll live in interesting times. Back to you.
Enjoy that sunny day, Rose. Up next, a report from Georgia, travel news, and tonight's roundtable about National Eyewear Day.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to thank our help outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. I'm Alan Basallaje in Los Angeles. This is Eagle News America. A company specializing in staffing healthcare for hospitals and education professionals in schools expands operations in Georgia. Bureau Chief Philip Toledo tells us what this means for the state.
Thanks, Alan. Last week, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp announced in a press release that Salient, a company specializing in staffing healthcare and education professionals for hospitals and schools, will expand its presence in Gwinnett County, resulting in 200 new jobs. Headquartered in Peachtree Corners, which is just outside of Atlanta, the Salient expansion means they will ultimately employ more than 600 individuals here in the state. According to the press release, they fill nursing, special education, telehealth, pharmacy, and other healthcare positions across the United States. Most of the new jobs here in Atlanta will be focused on education and healthcare recruiting. Governor Kemp said, quote, Salient's expansion in Georgia is a testament to our unmatched workforce, conservative leadership, and world-class business environment. Likewise, Salient CEO David Alexander said, quote, we at Salient will continue partnering with the good people of Gwinnett County and Metro Atlanta to help meet the diverse needs of patients and students across the country. As a Georgia native, I'm very proud to be growing Salient's operations here in the heart of my home state. Now for a quick update on COVID-19 stats in Georgia before we go. As of today's report, the total case count since the beginning of the pandemic is creeping towards the 900,000 mark with just over 18,000 deaths. The 7-day new case average is lower than this time last year, possibly due to the rollout of the vaccines. However, vaccine distribution is definitely slowing, with only 41% of the population having the first dose and 34% fully vaccinated. Here in Georgia, more women are vaccinated than men. In Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Toledo, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Alan.
June 5 is National Trails Day. EBC's Bobby Soriano takes us to a quick getaway trail within New York City. Yes, you heard us right, in New York City. Take a look.
The first Saturday of June is National Trails Day, and this year that falls on June 5th. Did you know that you don't have to leave New York City to hike on a trail? There are several city parks with miles of hiking trails. One trail that will make hikers feel close to nature is the Willow Lake Preserve Trail, otherwise known as the Pat Dolan Trail, in honor of the founder of the Flushing Meadows Corona Parks Conservancy. The trail is only 10 minutes away from the commercial center of Forest Hills. Hikers can find 2 footbridges which cross over the Grand Central Parkway and the Van Wyck Expressway. Secluded paths and greenery will make you feel like you traveled far away from New York City. In Queens, New York, Bobby Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Today is National Eyewear Day. Aside from helping us see clearly and protecting our eyes from ultraviolet rays, eyewear is also a fashion statement. More often than not, the eyewear we use reveals part of our personalities and sometimes our moods too. And so now, according to ReadersDigest.com, A, colorful frames are for creative types. Thick black frames are trendy. Patterned frames are cheerful. Aviators are for the adventurous. Fake glasses, well, they're a confidence boost. Tortoise shell glasses are spunky. Simple, clean lines are pragmatic. Big round frames are quirky. Brow line frames are for those who mean business. And while we can certainly appreciate ReadersDigest.com, we want to ask our team, especially our reporter, our correspondents here who actually do wear eyeglasses. We want to know what your take is on Eyewear Day, and maybe we'll also come up with some follow-up questions. I want to start first with Eliza, because we have it on good authority that you have kind of a collection going on. Eliza, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Alan. How come I know that you're going to call me first all the time?
Always.
Well, Alan, I wear reading glasses. I wear distance glasses for driving, and I can never survive. I won't survive without my sunglasses because the sunlight always tend to hurt my eyes every time. So, yeah.
And so, do you have any frame preference yourself?
I do. I only want to wear cat eye frame glasses like this. I have a pink one. I have a gray one. I have a cream one. And I have another gray one, but it's all metal. They're all cat eye. And this one too, a black frame. My only black frames as of now, because when other glasses that I don't use anymore, let's say I change prescription, I donate them. So I don't keep them with me. And this one is cat frames too, cat eye frames. So. Don't worry, they're very cheap, Alan. I discovered this website that sell eyeglasses for cheap. So.
Right. Because I was counting one by one all the frames that you were bringing up to your camera, but I think you have even more than that. Is that correct?
But I've donated the rest, so these are all I have right now.
Well, ever the humanitarian. Eliza, before we move on, I'm going to move on to Thomas. Before we move on, Do you agree that eyewear can reveal someone's personality?
I do. I kind of do. I researched, and they said those who tend to wear cat eye frames are more of the bohemian type personality. So I think I'm kind of that too. So yeah. How about you, Alan?
Oh, well, you're making me a believer because now I'm sensing some bohemian vibes coming from your end of the spectrum over there. All right, Eliza, thank you for sharing with us. Now I want to move on to Thomas because, Thomas, I believe you have a kind of an interesting story for us. Talk to us about Eyewear Day.
Oh, Eyewear Day. Well, first of all, I wear bifocals. They're ground into a progressive lens. Bifocals is what happens to you when you get old. And so that's something for you guys to look forward to. Okay. Now, I've only got one eye. So every time I go to my eye doctor, I always joke with him, why don't I get my exam for half price? Because this one's glass. And but I purchased my wire frames. I like wire frames. They're lightweight. They kind of look good, I guess. I don't know. I'm not much of a fashion guy. But these frames, incidentally, came from the Philippines. When I was there about 5 years ago, I dropped into a place called Executive Optical. I was at Shoe Mart. Those of you who know the Philippines will know Shoe Mart. In Cabanotan in Nueva Ecija. That's where these came from. But like Eliza, I donate my old lenses. I keep one as a backup because if you've ever had a pair of glasses break on you and you don't have a spare, you're in trouble. At least I am. I can't see. So I donate the next oldest set because they can recycle those lenses and it can carry on. The key, though, to glasses is the quality of the glass. Get good quality lenses. Things like Zeiss or Shamir, they're an optical glass maker in Israel, but really high quality. And once you've compared the two, you really notice the difference. But so that's basically my story, other than the days when I wear contact lenses. But we can talk about that after we hear maybe from Mark or Jane Kathleen.
All right, we can talk about National Contact Day. When we eventually have that, we can certainly discuss that topic. And thank you. We appreciate you mentioning Shoe Mart over in the Philippines, Universal Shoe Mart. If anyone who comes in out of the country, that's the place to go. Now, I believe the TV show, and I believe there was a remake of it. It was called MacGyver. Thomas, did you ever have any instances where, because you mentioned, sometimes glasses, accidents happen. Did you ever have to MacGyver your glasses?
Yeah, actually I did. And I should have brought this up during National Paperclip Day because I lost the screw here and was able to fix them with a paperclip. Didn't look very good, but it got me through the day. So yeah, we've managed to MacGyver them with tape, paper clips, you name it.
Oh, I love it. You combine two national days. And someone who's a member of my family, whose name shall remain my wife, has had many instances where she had the lens pop out and not realize it. But I could tell, staring at her, saying, "Hey, excuse me, wife, but you're missing something there." Let's move on now before I get into any hotter water to Mark. Mark, I don't know if you wear glasses or not, but the topic of our roundtable is Eyewear Day. What do you have to share with us?
Interesting story, Alan. So then a long time ago when I would go get my prescriptions for my eyes. So then a funny story is they gave me glasses. However, they told me not to wear them because then wearing glasses would then ruin my eyes, oddly enough. And so, but for my family does wear prescription glasses, and then I've always seen them pick some of the very nicer styles or stuff that mainly matches with their outfits. So then, but for me personally, I've never worn glasses. I've never had the opportunity to wear glasses. I think I take that as a good thing at least. But hopefully in the future, maybe when I start looking into those types of things, maybe I'll try to find something that fits my outfit.
How about sunglasses, Mark? Do you wear sunglasses when you go out?
Eliza, so I actually don't wear any type of glasses at all. So then even with the sun, even when driving. So then I just put the visor down and just hope for the best when it comes to driving in the sun. So
That's scary.
yeah, I'm also the type to lose things easily. So glasses is not an exception. So then if I always try to keep things in person, so the most important things, you know, the small important things, glasses might not be on my number one. So then I tend to lose those a lot.
Well, Mark, if you're afraid about losing glasses, a good thing. Well, I guess a good thing you're not wearing them, because just imagine losing those little tiny eyeglass screwdrivers that you have to use whenever you have to repair. You definitely lose those. Now, maybe off broadcast, we'll talk about more about your personal health history, because you know a lot of that health stuff is confidential. But with regards to glasses, do you play video games? Because I know some gamers, they wear those blue light glasses. Do you play games at all?
Yes, and actually, to speak on that, Alan, so I actually had a pair of blue light glasses that I have no idea where they are now. And so we've had a lot of moving around the house. And so, again, like those glasses came in so in handy for a good 6 months while they were in my hands. But then now it's unfortunate that I can no longer find them, but I will be investing in another pair of blue light glasses because they do for sure come in very handy.
Mark said it. He said he loses glasses, and I guess we found out that that's actually very true. All right, well, best to you to find those pair of glasses, or best on your purchase of new ones. Jane, talk to us, because I see you wearing a lovely pair of frames there. Talk to us about Eyewear Day.
Well, actually, each of our three correspondents have something in common with. I always lose my glasses, like Mark mentioned, so especially when I have to look for them in the morning, and they appear in really odd places. So I need to have like a GPS tracker on them. Similar to Tom, I had to actually MacGyver my last pair of glasses with a paper clip. So when you were telling me that story, I could totally relate with you. And it was during an interview too. So there was like a piece of paper clip sticking out of my cat eye glasses. And like Eliza, I adore the cat eye style. I love how it has like that sense of femininity. And I love cats, by the way, not that it has anything to do with it. But and I just love this style. And when she was talking about how it reflects a bohemian personality, that definitely describes me, because I am a fan of the arts and the music scenes and cultures. Alan?
Jane, did you get the job? That's what we want to know.
Did I get the job? This was an interview of a story subject, so that way I could report it for Eagle News. It actually happened as I was interviewing somebody during the elections, and my lens popped out. And so at the last minute, I had to MacGyver my glasses with a paper clip. So we finished the story. So yes, I got the job done.
Yeah. You got the job done. Okay, so before we let you go, you mentioned that you need a GPS tracker for your frames. Can you tell us one of the strangest places you ended up finding where you left your glasses?
Well, the strangest place was behind the dog food bowl. I don't know how it happened. How it ended up there, but perhaps my dog needed to borrow them. But fortunately, they were not chewed up. So I'm so thankful for that. Alan?
More likely than not, your dogs did not appreciate your cat eye glasses and decided to hide them from you.
I'm just wondering whether anybody, when we were all much younger, particularly in elementary school, and kids had glasses. I know. From my era, kids with glasses, hey, 4 eyes. Everybody called them 4 eyes. Was that common with you guys?
Oh, definitely.
Yes, I started wearing glasses in kindergarten. So yes, Thomas. Yes.
Well, before we end our broadcast here, I did want to share, because you reminded me, Thomas, about being in elementary school or junior high school. I used to wear the fake glasses because everyone else did. They looked so witty. But what I would do is I would take my thumb and I would smudge the glasses so it looked like it was a prescription. And because they would ask, can I see your glasses? And they go, wow, you have bad eyesight. Like, yes, I don't know whatever it is. But yeah, that was just grease coming from my thumbs. Folks, prescription glasses are great because they especially help us not only see, but keep things in focus. And the people that we always keep in focus are, of course, it's that time to thank our frontline workers, our first responders and essential workers, including our optometrists, our ophthalmologists, and opticians. Why don't we give them a much-deserved round of applause? because we appreciate what you do, keeping our lives in focus. And that is today's Eagle News America. We want to thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Basallaje. We live in interesting times.